right, we are live. What's up, everybody?
Hello, hello.
Everybody's getting
Welcome,
those
welcome.
notifications.
Yep,
I'm gonna throw a tweet out there. I think you threw one out there, so I'm gonna retweet. And
I did. I was just talking about how we're going to talk about everything tonight. A little bit of everything. Hopefully, people will want to talk about a variety of things as well.
the guys in the chat will definitely want to talk about something.
Yeah. Hey, Fred. Yo, what's up? Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I feel like I'm not caffeinated enough. So we're just waiting for people to arrive, waiting to populate. But in the meantime, how is everything going with you?
I am doing great. So I've had my daughters come over this week from summer camp. So I get her in the morning, then I take her back to her mom. So today we got up, we went to the lake. Like we didn't go in the lake, like in Raleigh, that's Lake Johnson. It's like
Mhm.
you can go kayaking and stuff out there, but it's mostly just walking trails and things like that. So we took the kids out there to get some energy out, and I saw a goose come out of the water, and these two ladies were sitting there, and they had some styrofoam boxes in plastic bags.
Mhm.
The goose from like 30 feet away swam up on shore, walked straight towards these ladies, and they both got up and like ran away and just like left all their stuff there. And then the goose just proceeds to like start going through their
Through their
plastic
stuff.
bag, like
Yep.
like what you got in here that I can munch on and stuff. And it was the funniest thing.
They don't play. They don't play. Hey, Winona. Hi, Doug. What's up, Jamie? Hey, Chuck. Hey, Chuck. I hope you're feeling better. Feeling okay. Same with Winona. I hope you're feeling better. And Eva, hello, hello. So you guys, welcome. So hello, AB Twitch. Welcome. Hi. Kaz, hey. Jada, hello. Nice to see you guys in. So today we're just going to talk about a bunch of stuff. So whenever you want to hit the music, we can
Let's do it.
get started.
Let me find it first. I need to clear up some of these pictures. I have so many pictures of everything on here.
Hi, and welcome to the A Show, where smart is the new sexy. I'm your host, April Hunter. Across from me is Colin Wysong, and tonight we were going to talk about anything and everything. So if you have a topic, feel free to bring it up. I got sucked down a rabbit hole from hell starting yesterday, bleeding into today. Twitter trolls. What the shit? I mean, they're kind of incredible. It's like a whole different realm on Twitter where people are like, you don't get the anger on any other social media platform that you get on Twitter. I realize now, if you guys aren't familiar, check out sock puppet accounts, Google that, because this is a real thing. So a lot of stuff on Twitter, there are people on there who are paid to be on there, who are paid to agitate, who are paid to do political postings. And sometimes if you're arguing with people, you're not actually arguing with people, you're arguing with a sock puppet account. But oh my God, it's like there are so many close-minded, it's my way or the highway. If you are not living the life that I live, you are wrong, I'm right. You should just go into the sea and drown yourself. Like literally people will say that to strangers. They will insult strangers. And it's strange to me that people will insult strangers. They'll go out of their way to dehumanize them and degrade them and say that, like I've had lots of people say, oh, what do you know? You should just stick to wrestling. Oh, just, take your boobs out. Oh. And we might have a visitor. We might have speaking of
He has no pants on, so I need to go find why he's got no pants on.
He doesn't need pants. Just keep them underneath of the video. But yeah, I don't understand why people do that. Now, I understand that people are angry. There's a lot of fear, and fear manifests as anger. But I do not understand the 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 hostility that happens.
Yeah,
So
I don't. It's a lot of people say that a lot of what is going on is meant to divide us, but no other place than Twitter do you really see it. You see it in
oh yeah,
the left and the right.
oh
You see
yeah,
it like as a person who's a wrestling fan, like even in the internet wrestling community, it's WWE versus AEW, and there's a lot of like s- vitriol that goes back and forth between these people, and like you said, it's trolling, and some people do it for fun. I like to troll every once in a while.
yeah.
Um,
Currently, Buckshot Kid said that one of the biggest trolls is my co-host.
yeah, I love
You're getting called
uh,
out.
I love to troll every once in a while. It's fun, because you have those people out there, and I'm gonna use a wrestling person who was just in the news recently
Oh, I know who
for
you're talking about.
something that she said, right? Let's
Okay,
take Jordan Grace.
let's talk about
She
that.
is a female women's wrestling champion in
Hmm.
Impact Wrestling. So she has a platform. She has a fairly large platform.
Hmm.
And she's somebody who's, I could say, is a very body image positive type of person. I mean, from what she's looked like, from where she's gone to where she's at now, April, total transformation of who
Okay,
she is in the wrestling
what do you
industry.
mean body image positive
So
for?
she's a bigger girl,
Okay,
and she used to be kind of like a heavy set wrestler, but she was always kind of a power wrestler,
okay,
right? Now she's fully like April, she is in some awesome shape,
okay,
like bodybuilding competition, all that type of stuff. Like she's
okay.
really taken charge of her health. But she's also the type of person, April, she wrote a book based on guys DMing her dick pics and pickup
Yeah.
lines and things like that.
Okay.
And she's
I wish
very,
I,
hey,
I wish
don't
I'd beaten her to it.
hey, don't objectify me. But she's very, but you're April, you're not, hey, don't objectify me. Like she's very like, hey, why are y'all objectifying me? I've seen you with a lot of your fans
Hmm.
who would probably be a lot of these same people that would probably be sending her messages.
Hmm.
You're excellent with these people. I feel like you take the time to listen to them, you give them all a chance. I mean, a lot of the people in the chat have all of these stories of you really helping them out because you take the time to get to know them, right? She is very like puts these pictures of herself out there, um, scantily clad, sexy pictures, and then's like, hey, don't objectify me.
So
Now
she's
that
objectifying herself.
she's objectifying herself, but she doesn't want you to look at her and say those
I
things, right?
love when women are hypocrites like that.
Exactly. She's a
It's like
huge hypocrite
it's
in that sense.
hilarious to me.
And then she goes on her platform just the other day because she probably thinks that she said all these things, she can get away with it. She goes on and says something about Chris Benoit and how Chris Benoit, as we all know, is a person who murdered his whole family and himself. Well, not his whole family, but murdered his wife and his son.
Right.
And he was a hell of a wrestler. And a lot of like these people who you have issues like, let's say Michael Jackson. I've been using Michael Jackson.
Hmm.
Yeah, what he did with kids is what he did with kids, but you can't discount the music that this man made. And you
Yeah.
may have personally known Chris, April.
I,
Um,
I I do have
and
I do.
and and the guy in the ring, what he painted on the canvas of wrestling was something special.
Hmm.
And for her to say that he couldn't hang with today's talent because he wouldn't be able to remember matches is just a slap in the face to every wrestler that's ever done it because you have your remembered matches, but you also improv. You also, you go kind of, there's that back and forth in the ring. I'm not going to sit there and explain it because I'm not a wrestler. You would be able to explain it
Yeah,
a lot better.
of
But
course.
you get where I'm trying to go with that. And then she said, "May he burn in hell," basically.
Really.
And yeah, oh yeah. And a lot of people weren't having it. Chris Jericho came out and said, "Nah, you can't do that." Chavo Guerrero came out, was like, "Nah, you can't do that." Chris Benoit's son, David Benoit, has come out and said, like, "Hey, like that's really uncalled for." And then literally 2 days later, she's walking it back,
Yeah,
posting photos of her talking to David Benoit
I did say that.
on the internet, and it just it's very hypocritical. Again, she does these types of things, but she's just one of those big people, and I don't mind trolling somebody like that, April. If you have somebody that maybe photoshops a picture of Chris Benoit in any of her photos,
Uh-huh.
just little things like that, just to pick and make fun and do little things like that. It's not really malicious, but it's to poke fun
Okay,
and
fair
make
enough.
light of
Fair
the
enough.
situation, right?
Fair enough. Yeah, I saw a little bit of that, and then a friend of mine actually had that conversation with me like literally an hour ago. He called and we were talking about it, and he was basically saying similar things. And I said to him, I'm like, you can, yeah, and welcome everybody who has just shown up. I appreciate it. Hello, hello. And I feel like, hello, little man. So cute. I feel like you can be a really, really great wrestler, like one of the best in the world, and also a murderer, and they're not mutually exclusive. It just sort of worked out that way. I also feel like Chris Benoit had some shit going on, some mental shit going on in an era where we did not talk about that or deal with that. We were very ignorant as a society. Nowadays, these things probably would have been addressed. You're not seeing a bunch of people killing their families. The things are being handled now. But back then, nobody talked about it or saw the signs or asked for help or knew what was going on. And it's almost like, I'm not saying he's a victim, obviously not. His wife and child are, but he died too. I'm saying that the whole situation was unfortunate and nobody was able to see it and nobody helped, So to be so judgmental and hypocritical is exceptionally harsh. I mean, I'm wondering if she was even alive at that point. What was it, 15, 20 years ago? 20 years ago, something? I mean, what was she, like 7? Can't hear you.
Muted myself. Let's see. She was born 96, so she is 26. And Chris Benoit, he died, let's see, 2007.
2007?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a year. She
Wow,
was
how do I remember that?
So 10
See, we
years.
do remember even with our concussions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just I don't know. Sometimes people say some ridiculous stuff. I know that comment cost her $5,000.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because she's doing this. It's like a brain CTE type of foundation, and they're trying to raise 20 grand. I mean, it's all you got to put your money where your mouth is now.
Yeah, good. But honestly, I think when more people screw up, and I'm not talking about her screw up, I'm talking about like screw ups, like I don't know, minor screw ups, and the Twitterverse, the woke Twitter takes it to you. I think you should just stand your ground, like Ricky Gervais, and be like, "Yep, I said it. That's how I feel."
Yeah, because a lot of times when you apologize, they still rake you over the coals even more and bludgeon you to death even more, and then they still cancel you. All right, well, you apologized. We're not gonna mess with you anymore anyway. So
yeah.
When if you've noticed people that have stood up, they've had people come and back them. I mean, if you remember the whole Chick-fil-A thing, like everybody thought Chick-fil-A was doing the wrong thing, and Chick-fil-A is like still the biggest, most popular chicken place.
Yeah.
And look at what they
Gina
went through.
Carano.
Mm-hmm.
She was canceled, and she was one of the first people to get uncanceled. And then she was
now got her own movie.
Yeah, well, that's because another company rushed in to grab her when Disney canceled her, and that movie just came out. Yeah, so I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if apologizing is like admitting guilt so much. There's a time and a place. Like to a person, apologizing can really help. How do I put this? De-escalate situations that might further escalate. Like saying, please, thank you, I'm sorry. These things really matter in life. But to a situation, it makes you look weak. Especially if it makes you look like a hypocrite, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you really screwed up like that girl did. So, well, she should have just said that she's crazy and skipped her meds that day. I mean, everybody in entertainment.
I was having a mental health day.
Yeah. Hello.
Pretty much.
Yeah. say, I was having a mental health day. I missed my meds and I don't know what I was thinking and I'm sorry. And do my best to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, but to your point about the trolls, I think with Twitter, there's a lot of bots too that are
Yes.
automatically there to reply for things,
Yeah.
and you get a lot of alternate accounts as well, because there's a
You
lot
do.
of people that just create fake accounts just to go on there,
They
and
do.
again,
Yeah.
you see this in the IWC a lot. Guys that just make fake accounts because so that they can continue to just harass people,
Hmm.
and I've seen friends have different blow ups in different little friend groups, and then they end up getting harassed by somebody from that blow up group that has like 4 or 5 different accounts, and then they just start trolling and start the I mean, like, really personally attacking people. Like,
Well,
this one guy, I know, he lost his daughter at a very young age,
hmm
and it was within the last 5 years. And these people personally attack him about his daughter dying, and these things
yes.
like that. And it's just like, well, like, come on now, like, and but they do it from something like this,
Yeah,
April. Like, yeah, well, your daughter
absolutely.
died, and you're like, all right, cat guy, like,
Yeah. They've always done that though. Like when I was coming up, they had message boards,
mhm.
and I remember, like Frank Goodman and Sean the Mick, like they were two of the worst. They would attack you personally and call you all kinds of stuff. They would insult your family, your kids, who you were going out with. I mean, they would. I can't tell you how many things that I was called and referred to. They used to say,
Oh yeah,
oh yeah, all kinds of stuff. It was,
imagination.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Like I was raked over the coals because I was one of the females who always wanted to be paid, and apparently that made me difficult. It made me, yeah, it made me transgender. Yeah, I'd put up with that from my entire indie career. Um, it made me an N-word lover. We had that one too for a long time. It made me, I mean, everything you could have. They changed, nicknamed me. I was April Cunter. Um, I got it all, and it makes you it's layer after layer after layer. You just get this real thick skin. So you see things on Twitter, and it just reminds you. It's like, yeah, I got called way worse.
Yeah. And
Kind of
and
by better.
and that's the thing too, is like, what happened to sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Like, they're at the end of the day, they are just words,
They are.
right? And you have these people that think they're hurting. Like, a lot of times I'll laugh, or if somebody's trying to come at me, I'll just agree with them.
Hmm.
Like, a lot of times they don't expect you to like talk shit about your own mom or
Mm.
some shit like that. So if they say something like, "Oh, your mom was with a bunch of dudes last night," be like, "Well, like, yeah." I tell her to at least let me know when she has guys over. Like, little things like that. To like, like when she brings new guys over, I have to meet them. I have to approve of them. Like,
Right there, you
just
go.
these little things like that. Like, and it throws them off guard because they don't think that you're going to be as self-deprecating as they are. Like, they don't expect that. They don't know what to do. Because they expect you to be like, "Oh, don't say those things about my mom. That's not nice. Don't be so mean to me." I'm
Yeah.
leaving Twitter.
Yeah, Chuck said I had a major respect for Janet Jackson during the Super Bowl wardrobe malfunction. Justin Timberlake apologized 27 times. Janet Jackson apologized once. The Grammys wanted her to apologize before she performed. She told them to pound sand. It's funny. I remember back then, and some of you might remember me saying something. I'm like, you guys got to see her titty for free. Why is she apologizing? Right,
Right?
right. It's a tit. Get over it. Everybody, half the
And it was even
population
covered
has one.
up, so,
I
like, you
know it
couldn't
had
even really
a thing.
tell.
Yeah,
That sun thing on her nipple that she had, like, you couldn't even really
I
see
know.
it, like, it was pasty enough, right?
I remember that was such a big deal, and I'm like, half the population has a boob. Everybody knows what they look like. This is not a big fucking deal, people. Like seriously. Yeah, she had a
Well
pasty.
well, if that again, we saw what regulations came out after that, right?
Mm.
April, a lot of television networks went to a 5, 6, 7 second, like, delay
Delay.
so that they could cut
Yeah.
that type of stuff. So you gotta think about how we even talk about here, things are manufactured for certain reasons. you know, that could have been something that was put on to do these things so that they could censor and move to where, all right, well, now we can't just let Kanye West come on and be like, the president doesn't care about black people. We got to cut. No, we got to cut that out. You
president doesn't care about black people.
We can't say that on television, April.
But it was true.
You can't. Shh. It's not allowed. 7 seconds, so we can cut that. We got to get rid of that.
No, you know. The truth, God. Speaking of truths, there's a couple of things that I wanted to bring up that I don't know. I don't know if people know what's going on or know some of these things. So, all right. So 4th of July happened, right? And I saw this interview with people, and they were asking basic question as to what the meaning of 4th of July was. So they're like, how many stars are on the flag? And people are like, I don't know. Like, how many stripes are on the flag? Like, I don't know. Like, who was the war with, you know, for independence? People are like, France. So I was just, these are Americans. Like, immigrants know these questions. They answer to these questions, but Americans don't. So I was reading about it. I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like, this is basic stuff to, you know, in school. Like, we had to know this. And just a pride thing. And they said, like, American kids have lost 7 IQ points in the recent years. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, because I'm sure maybe somebody out there doesn't know, there's 50 stars on the flag that represent the 50 states. There's 13 stripes on the flag to represent the original 13 colonies. Okay, just so we know that. So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, how many people don't know basic history or where things come from? So the week that we were going to do this show that Colin reran an episode because I was coming off of COVID and I wasn't sure if my brain was going to retain anything. The things that I was talk about as far as facts, and I didn't want to get them wrong, but now I kind of don't care if I get them wrong. So I wanted you guys to know, because that week was when everybody was up in arms about abortion. So here's something you guys may or may not know. Years and years and years ago, like 20 years ago, do you guys remember the Lacey and Scott Peterson trial? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Scott Peterson, for those who don't remember, he killed his pregnant wife. And the state desperately wanted to convict him on a double murder charge because she was pregnant. So they used the word personhood regarding the fetus. And they convicted him double murder. And the lawyers warned back then that this was going to cause a problem in the future. And it did.
Yeah, because it sets a legal precedent.
It sets a legal precedent. So we are a country of law, not morals. So you have to be careful with every law you lay down because it's a building block to fuck you in the future. So personhood is what fucked us with abortion, or didn't fuck us if you're pro-life. So either way, what had happened was in the 60s and early 70s, there was a religious coalition for all the religious nuts out there that are anti-abortion. You guys should know this, and don't take my word for anything. Please do your own research. Okay. Religious coalitions of Catholics, Protestants, and Jewish. They came together to pass Roe versus Wade to push that through because 1 in 6 pregnancies were ending in death. They were tired of seeing young women die, mostly from septicemia, because a lot of them were trying to kill themselves or self-abort. So that was what was happening. And who knows, it might go back to that. So an elder neighbor, George, his sister died that way. She coat hangered herself. And that's what they were using, wire coat hangers to scrape it out. And babies were being born without, arms and legs because they would kind of get part of it and not the other part. Yeah, it was kind of messed up. So
it's so, oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, there will always be abortions. So it's never going to stop it. It's just going to make it less safe. So that's the history. I don't know where we're all going with it, but people should know that personhood was a precedent. And all the laws that we pass now, whether you agree with them or not, you have to think ahead. You can't just look at where they are right now and what they mean for right now. You have to look like, where is this going to mean? What's this going to mean for me and my kids, like in 20 years? Like net neutrality. What happens when they repeal that? Oh, it means now that Google is only going to put corporations in the first search results, and small businesses are going to be relegated to the back and page 6, and the ISPs are going to have ultimate power over everything that you see, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. People didn't understand what that means. So what we're dealing with now is partly the result of repealing net neutrality, but everybody was lied to about what it actually means. So Operation Mockingbird, nobody paid attention. That was where you can propagandize Americans. You can buy journalists. You can place stories in wherever, and it's fine. It's legal. So they even had a company try to, I don't want to say copyright. What's the word I'm looking for?
Trademark.
Thank you. Trademark DNA in 2013. It went to the Supreme Court, and it was ruled unanimously no by all the judges, except in the case of RNA. If you've changed the RNA, you can trademark the DNA. So all these set precedents for where we are now. So that said, welcome to the revolution. Are you guys aware of what's going on outside of the United States?
No, I don't think they are, April. If we got rid of our own government econ classes in high school where kids don't know what the 50 stars mean and what the 13 stripes are, do you think that they know what's going on over in these other countries?
Okay, so yeah, plus we have media blackouts because our media is owned by just 6 companies, and they're the same corporations that own food, pharma, tech, all of it. So they can fear us and steer us in any direction they want, black anything out, so they will. So
these are the same people that said a certain laptop was not real until about a few months ago.
Was that Peters?
Then they admitted that the laptop was real after our president was elected and well into office, a couple of years into office.
Yes. Yeah, Operation Northwoods. Thank you. Yeah, you guys, a lot of you are with it. This isn't. We don't have dumb viewers here. We have an exceptionally bright group, and I appreciate you very much. So, but yeah, so if you're not aware of what's going on, there is pretty much a revolution happening all over now. It's starting. So, if you want to look up the Dutch farmer revolution, that's happening. So the pretense of that is that the WEF has decided that the nitrogen levels have been too high due to farming, and that they want to get rid of farms and destroy the livestock, kill all the cows and the sheep and the pigs and the chickens immediately to get rid of the nitrogen. Sounds legit, right? Except the farmers are saying this is bullshit. These farms have been in their families for ages. Experts on nitrogen are coming forward and saying this is bullshit. We're fine. And it would seem that this is a ploy to pass a law so that the government can legally steal land, take your land from you. So the Dutch farmers are responding by, this is the best part, taking manure and shooting it at the government buildings. And occasionally, are you seeing it? Are you looking?
No, but that's awesome.
They're spraying the government buildings down with manure, and they're occasionally lighting a government building on fire. Somehow they obtained, and then they called in like the military to stop the Dutch. And then the Dutch managed to get a hold of their own military weapons and a tank and fought back. So it made the Canadian trucker thing look pretty small, but they also raised the Canadian flag with all of it.
If the Dutch really needed to fight back, they could probably go to the Ukraine and get some of those Russian military units that are just left there, that they're just leaving, and then to bring them back to Dutch, like the Dutch land, and to the Netherlands, and use those to fight the Dutch government.
Yeah, right.
It's just
So now,
did find it.
recently, now the Germans are standing in solidarity with the Dutch. So they have joined in. At the same time, the Sri Lankans have stormed the, I want to say it's a palace, but it's actually a presidential estate. They have such high cost of living there and almost no gasoline. Like they literally have, I think they said, enough gasoline for one day in that country.
There you go, April. I found a little video for everybody.
Is this, what country are we looking at?
This is the Dutch.
This is Dutch. I see the flag. Yeah.
Dutch farmers spraying shit at a town hall sums up. Here we go. Want to see it?
That's so American. That is so American.
It totally is.
That is so American. I love it. So Americans, take note. This is how you actually get things done. So find the Sri Lankan video. But that one's better shown than explained. So they have gotten down to almost no fuel, to the point where they've had to shut down the schools. They can't bus the kids back and forth to the schools. They have no food. Their president has run the country into the ground. So they have run him out of his I'm gonna say his palace. They've run him out. We saw him escaping on a ship, and then they burned his house down.
Organic farming crisis. So they banned pesticides and all this stuff, and it's basically like, so they went green with their farming, and it's killed their farming. Basically, is that what this is? April?
With what?
I don't know.
What are you talking about right now?
Like in Sri Lanka, it says like they're became embroiled in an organic farming crisis.
No, look at the Sri Lankan revolution. I guess look that up. So I'm sure yeah, so that became really interesting, how they tore everything down. Yeah, I know. Somebody said that's old America, not this America. Yeah, I don't know. I think we also just took down the Georgia Guidestones, which personally I thought they were kind of cool. And some people are associating them with the WEF, which, in case you don't know, that's the World Economic Forum.
Wow, they drove their prime minister out.
Yes.
So, wow.
Yeah. Have you found it?
Yeah, I've got. I don't have a video of it, but I've got the article.
Okay.
Where they're talking about. Well, this article is just talking about the prime minister resigning. What's next for Sri Lanka? And it basically, the headline under it says the country needs a credible government that enjoys legitimacy in the eyes of the people. So it looks like their whole everything's turned upside down. It's
upside down. Everything is. Yeah. Yeah. If you can find the video, it's very, very interesting. Here in the States, something or someone took down one of 4 Georgia Guidestones, and then which had 10 laws on it. One of those laws is, I believe, do not go over 50,000 people.
I think like 500 million,
500,000,
like that.
Yeah, or something.
500,000. Yeah,
there's something where you'd have to dramatically reduce our population by 80%, which incidentally seems like this is happening. I think people got upset, and the rest of the Guidestones were leveled. Personally, I like the whole "be not a cancer on this earth, leave room for nature, leave room for nature." That was the last part, but I can see where some of that could be translated poorly. If you know the other ones, you can look that up.
Buckshot Kid says that a nice indie news channel on YouTube is redacted. You should check them out. Yeah, if you haven't ever heard about the Georgia Guidestones, the story is go look it up. I mean, you had these billionaires, these rich guys basically just go to a granite company and say they wanted to do this. And I think the granite company wasn't taking them seriously. Mm-hmm. So they just threw out some crazy ass number, like for that time when these were built, like in the 70s, to be like, yeah, it's going to be like a couple $100,000. And they were like, yeah, no problem. And paid it.
It was a working clock though. And it was like a working sun. The whole thing was
our American Stonehenge.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Insane.
So, it's funny. As Cam says, every time I buy an AR-15, I picture Biden crying. The American government has lost, I believe, 64 nuclear weapons. Lost them. Gone. No explanation of where they've gone. But they want to tell you can't have a gun. And the people telling you can't have a gun are heavily guarded by armed guards. Does this end up nothing makes sense right now. And people are accepting that as okay and normal. Stop accepting it as okay and normal. It's not okay and it's not normal. We have to start really thinking, using our thinking caps here, using our thinking toques, and understanding that none of this makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, don't do it.
It's true.
It's just some stupid propaganda. Like I said, science has always welcomed questioning. Mm-hmm. That's why it's science. If you cannot question it, it is not science.
But now our leaders are coming out and saying, don't question anything. Those that question it are the worst. There was a politician, I think, that just came out recently that said, like, don't question things. Like, stop questioning.
Remove that
things.
Politician.
Yeah, well.
Remove the politician.
I think it was Chuck Schumer, actually.
I honestly don't pay attention to politics. I hate them.
Yeah.
I pay attention to world events and what's going on, but I don't know most of these people because I see them as just, you know what I mean? But, yeah. Anyway.
I just think you see a lot of the hypocrisy that's come out too with a lot of the things. Like, like we get abortion, but then all of a sudden, and I made this joke, the one day when Roe v. Wade comes out, everybody knows what a woman is.
Yeah, right.
Everybody was agreeing on what a woman was. Everybody knew what a woman was that day.
Right. Up until then, they couldn't define it.
And then when people started pointing out, like, hey, y'all are only saying women today. There's no other. You're not saying men or birthing people, or you're using any of this new words that you've created.
Well,
it took about a week or two, and then people started being like, oh no, we didn't mean just women. We meant all people that can give birth. And it's like, okay, but you weren't saying that when
people don't give birth. Women give birth.
Yeah, no, I get that, but the people. They weren't saying that. The people that they want you to believe that the majority are, they weren't saying that at the time. It took them like a week or two to get that into the working lexicon of what they were going to say about this. At first, the whole leading up to it, and even on the day, it's all about women. There was no birthing people, no pregnant men worried about abortion for pregnant men. None of that.
I believe they're using all that to keep us divided.
It is. It's all division tactics.
It's
all divisive. I mean, you saw what happened with Macy Gray. Did you see that? What happened with Macy Gray?
I vaguely skipped over that one.
So she goes on all these shows and she's fucked up. Like, you can just tell she's on something. She's drunk. She's on pills or whatever. But she literally was on Pierce, I forgot the British guy, and she basically came out and was like, a woman's a woman. Men can't give birth and all that. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but and then literally like 2 days later, she's coming back on another show being like, no, being a woman's a vibe. Like, if you want, whatever you think that you are, that's what you are. I'll agree with it. If you want me to call you a woman, I'll call you a woman. You're a woman. And it's like, yeah, she literally 2 days later backtrack. It was Piers Morgan. Backtrack everything that she was saying. Because again, what we were talking about, apologizing to the woke army.
Being a woman is a vibe.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. She's spilled out, April.
Being a woman is dealing with a lot of shit.
It's a vibe.
I mean,
I'm just gonna change my vibe.
Okay, whatever. I'll be honest with you. Being a woman is dealing with a lot of shit that is not easy and losing a lot of time to hair and makeup. If I were born a man, I'd be like, cool. This works. I would whip my dick out and pee wherever I wanted to and have an orgasm every time I had sex, and then roll out of bed and be ready.
Pretty much. I just need to shower and put on deodorant.
Okay. Women who turn into men totally get it. Men that want to be women do not get it. Why would you want to do this? We're just not there yet. We're not there yet. I'm reading what Fred said. Someone called that age as a 15-year-old. Wait, what's this? Do you ID as a 70-year-old? Well, why not? Yeah, I identify as like 27. So
there's a gentleman I know in the heart of New York City, April. He's actually friends with Billy Ray Valentine. We call him 8-Track Brown. He's the dirtiest of the city. He has started the trans wealthy movement. He went into a convenience store with $1 and tried to buy $50 worth of things with his dollar. Why can't his dollar be $50?
Because his dollar identifies as a $50 bill.
He's trans wealthy. His dollar wealth does not identify as a dollar. It's more than $1. He's trans wealthy, April.
Wow.
I love the trans wealthy movement. I want to be trans wealthy.
Me too.
My Palacio estate makes it seem like I'm trans wealthy.
Oh man. I like your Palacio estate. It's that's nice. I like it. I'm taking it. When are you going to have me over for a house party? I want to play your piano.
Play pianos.
If somebody says, I don't always have an orgasm, just okay. So every time I make that joke, there's always a guy, not just you, there's always a guy that says, I don't always have an orgasm with sex. So I guess that is a misnomer that men always have an orgasm. So, okay. 85% of the time. Is that a safe number? Is that a safe-ish number? Mate, let me ask, is this not always having an orgasm thing brought on by the prolific amount of porn in the last 2 centuries? Because it seemed like before that, men were always having orgasms, no problem.
The desensitization, probably.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
The stress. There's a lot of there's a lot of now factors happening with men now. There's a lot of outside factors. It could be. He says he wants
his woman to finish first. Okay, I get that. There are people that are like that can't get there unless she's gotten there. So I've met those types too. Got it.
Buckshot Kid, ever the gentleman. Let you ladies first in the Buckshot Kid household.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. Hey, April, have you ever listened? Do you know who Patrick Bet David is?
Birds aren't real. No, I don't know who Patrick David is.
I think he's like he's a financial guru kind of guy now that does investments and things. He's got a podcast. I think you would like him if you listen to him. A recent episode that he had this week, he had the guy who owns the computer shop that found Hunter Biden's laptop.
Oh, really?
And this gentleman, he put out a little piece of knowledge, April. This gentleman has a thing for redheads.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that while he was working there, in his shop, a beautiful redhead came into his shop for services and everything. Then later on, he doesn't do anything with customers that come into his shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said then later on that night, he went to his favorite bar, and she just happened to come to his favorite bar. And he said for a while there, they had a relationship. They talked and all these things, right? And then one day, she divulged to him that, hey, I used to work for the FBI. And I also used to work in the disinformation department of the FBI.
That's a department?
I guess.
Okay.
But he was honeypotted. Basically, they found out that like on social media, he had posted a thing about liking redheads and kind of the certain way that they were and things like this. And then all of a sudden in his shop shows up a beautiful redhead. And it made me think of you, April. I'm like, April's over there, like doing work. Like she's got her blonde wig on. She just shows up doing things for the FBI.
It's funny that you mentioned that. So when I lived out west, I was in Vegas. Twice I got invitation from the LA police to come and work for them. I guess they were trying to bring attractive women in to go through the ranks to become detective. for that exact reason, to do that type of thing. So yeah, I was like, that would be an interesting career, but no. But
Well, just think, you and Nick could have like teamed up. Detective Nick and April.
There you go. Yeah.
Back to back.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be my thing, but I thought it was interesting. Yes, I'm wearing a wire, of course. See. So.
But he has some really good stuff on. But I would go back and check that episode, because the guy that with the laptop, it was very interesting. But it was interesting to see how he got honeypotted by the FBI. Basically, like they're trying to find out what he knew, and maybe who he would have disclosed more information and stuff like that too, which is very interesting.
Honestly, if I was CIA, FBI, I would have almost all women working for me, because just all good looking ones. And just send them in.
And most men would fall for it, April, because they'd be like, oh, it's a pretty woman. Yeah. They would not be thinking with this head. No, they would.
I would have them training, like, go get them, let them spend some time, like a year in a strip club, so they know how to talk to men, how men are. That's their training ground right there. And then get them up through the ranks. Get them into detective and all of that. Yep. That's probably why they do that. They probably just do solicit the strippers to do that, because they're like, oh, these guys have already been through it. They know how.
They know how to handle rowdy men at the club. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yep. Winona says, instead of arguing who's right and who's wrong on the point, wouldn't the government's time be better spent trying to provide better services to support pregnant women in whichever option they choose? The mental health plays a huge part when a woman becomes pregnant, especially when it's unwanted. Why not have all pregnant women participate in free one-on-one counseling, fully explain all options? Then after they choose, extend counseling at least once a month up to a year postpartum. Why aren't you running for president? Like, seriously. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, there's so many things. We could sit here and talk for like 4 hours and probably fix half the problems of the world, I'm sure, because this group is good, and this is a thinking, problem-solving group. And that makes sense. I don't know why they don't do these things.
Well, do you want the government more in your life, though? Like, I get that. So, like, there's a lot of people that are saying with the birthing things, like, who's going to take care of these kids now that we're being forced to have kids?
To force women to go through pregnancy and have children, and many of us remember the crime rates then, how they dropped 15 years after Roe versus Wade. So I mean, there were a lot of crime rates because people just didn't want to raise those kids. So you're asking women to bring children into a society where there's almost no maternity or paternity leave, there's no universal health care, child care is prohibitively expensive.
Oh yeah, I know that for a fact.
Yeah, so I mean, how does this work right now exactly? If this happens somewhere like France, there are all kinds of safety nets and situations that can help. Not here. I don't know if anybody actually knows the welfare system or knows, WIC or knows these things, but they're not that great. They really aren't. I mean, you're getting bottom of the barrel, just keep you alive stuff, and a country is only as good as its weakest link, if we're going to start churning out lots more unwanted children that are relying on the system, two things are going to happen. One is we're going to have to start doing better. Two, we're going to have to start raising taxes a lot. So to pay for all of this, it's going to hit all of us.
So how do you feel about something like this, April? Player brings up a good point. Someone brought that up about Dick's Sporting Goods. You got a lot of these companies now that are willing to pay to send their employees to another state to have that abortion. But if you actually had the kid, you're on your own.
Okay.
So like, and I'm one.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper to send them. Yeah.
It is cheaper because you don't lose the person for a month with the maternity leave, and then you have them missing work with this. But then but then that gets to the point of like, now you're just a slave for these corporations, because now you
owe them.
You owe them, right? Or it's like, now the corporation's like, well, don't have that baby, get an abortion so that you can come right back to work and work for us, and we'll pay you. And it seems like it's like the corporations are getting more of a this is better for them than it is for the actual person in this situation, right?
And that is the real problem. It's not that the government is too much in our lives, but it's that the corporations are too much in our lives. We do not really have a democracy. We have a corporatocracy, which is a form of fascism. The governments are embedded and embroiled the corporations are embroiled in our government, and they dictate what to do. They have lobbyists. Don't corporations have personhood also? They do, right? Isn't that a thing?
They are considered people, yes.
Yeah. So I remember vaguely about that. So, and most conservatives, like Allie says I'm pro-life. I only support emergency abortions. When you're pregnant, you're conceiving human life, and a lot of people feel this way. But most people will support abortion to some degree, like rape, incest, emergency, like the mother's going to die. And I think most people will vote for saving the person who's already here versus the baby if there is an issue, so to rule it out completely. I mean, and we're going back to states' rights right now too. Like Florida's 15 weeks. A lot of states have a fairly, I think Massachusetts, 12 weeks?
Yeah. A lot of them are, I think, 12 to 15 weeks.
Yeah.
For a lot
it's the southern states that are a problem. Southern states, Ohio, Midwest. So
yeah, it's really, honestly, so I'm in a southern state, but I believe North Carolina is not going to change. I think North Carolina is a 15-week state. I'm not 100% sure. But I know it's mostly those Midwest states and the like Mississippi, Alabama, like the ones that you think of as being like backwater redneck type states. Like those are the ones that they're just like, no abortion whatsoever.
Well, they did that in 2019 and nobody cared. Like I remember talking about it then. It was like Ohio, I think, Mississippi, Alabama, they all moved to nothing.
Yeah. It's just, I'm one of those people, like, I'm okay with it.
There was no abortion.
Yeah. I'm one of those people I'm okay with, like you said, I'm kind of in that majority that if the incest, health of the mother, all that type of stuff. But like, I've seen way too many people that are just going out and getting them as designer surgeries, like,
really?
Oh yeah. Like I know a lot of that happens. You hear about these, you hear the stories. I've known a couple of people that have had abortions themselves, but now that the Plan B pill's out there, April, you just go to the store and you think that a guy, came inside you or whatever. You just go to the store and go get your Plan B pill. And that's it.
It's $50. At least it was. It's probably like $85 now.
Yeah. And so there's that now too. And that's not even you're killing it before anything. Right. So
you're not killing it. You're preventing.
Yeah. You're preventing it. So but people want to use that language. Like you're stopping the pregnancy before it's ever really anything. Right. But it's one of those things. We're never going to find common ground on this. I think, April. I think you've got your right and your left that are just going to constantly battle it out.
I don't know if it's right and left because I know a ton of conservatives that are pro-choice. I know a lot of left wing that are pro-life. So I don't even know if it's that. I think it's just a personal choice. And everybody's, whatever you feel is your personal choice. That's cool. Yeah. But my only point was, here's the history of it. Here's where we might go. Taxes might be raised. This is what we might be looking at. So, yeah, but Cam says, I don't have a vagina. I don't care. Yeah, here's the thing, though, Cam. Women can have 10,000 orgasms, and there's never going to be a baby. Okay? there's never a baby until there's a sperm involved. So it's you creating the baby, so you should care, especially if you want or don't want it. That means child support or being there. So yeah, you're going to have to care at some point or another. And if you have kids, you're probably going to want to care about it then too. Because like we said earlier, everything sets a precedent for what happens later. So it is what it is. So somebody said, I learned this week that Beauty and the Beast, which was this widely romantic movie, was actually written in 1740, and it was done to prepare young women for marrying a disgusting man because of arranged marriages. So it was common to get married off to somebody older and gross and, just not what you would, So this was a thing, and it was based on a situation like that, where a young girl was married off to a guy who was kind of hairy, had a genetic thing where he's hairy. And I guess they ended up getting along. So they had like 7 kids, and like half of them ended up with this hairy genetic issue. But yeah, that was to groom young women to handle the fact that they might be, your property of your father, and then your property of your husband, and you are married off for the benefit of the families with a dowry. So it's like you're a chattel. It's like, here, take my daughter and 2 cows and a leather pair of shoes, and good luck to you.
Reminds me of the episode of The Office when the one guy's trying to get his daughter to marry Dwight so that they could like take over Dwight's beet farm and have like the big mega farm. That's what they used to do back in those days. Like, yeah. I want this kingdom. I want you to marry my daughter so I can have this kingdom.
Yep. So I thought that was interesting. And hi Chowny Man, how are you doing? Thanks for following me. So yeah, I brought that up, and then people were talking about how fairy tales used to be awful. And then I thought about it. I'm like, I don't know. They used to have a purpose. They were awful, but for a reason. They were scary to teach us a lesson, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Hansel and Gretel, right? They teach you, don't follow the candy or you might end up, the witch might eat you. So Red Riding Hood, not everybody is as they seem. There could be, maybe that's not grandma, maybe it's a wolf. You should always be aware. Goldilocks. Don't walk into people's houses and eat their freaking porridge and sleep in their freaking beds. That's just not okay. So these scary fairy tales had a point, a story for kids to learn. And we did, right? We always kept that in mind. It's like, oh shit, somebody might stuff me in the oven if I go wandering in the woods and get lost. So, I don't know.
So I Google searched horrific truth of fairy tales. And I found one website, the first one that came up. It says 5 beloved fairy tales with dark and disturbing origins.
I suppose there's only 5. Little Mermaid's
some of them have 10 and stuff like that. But this one, I'm already disturbed, and the number one is Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, go on.
It says that it is not a let's see. So we all know Sleeping Beauty. She gets put asleep for 100 years. When a prince finally arrives, kisses her, they fall in love, get married, But in the original version,
because that's healthy to teach children, girls, that your prince will arrive. Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. Just do nothing, and your prince will come along, and life will be good.
So it looks like in this original version, the young woman is put to sleep because of a prophecy rather than a curse, and it isn't a kiss of a prince that wakes her, but in fact, a king sees her asleep and rapes her. After 9 months, while still asleep, she gives birth to 2 children. One of the children sucks her finger, removing the piece of flax which was keeping her asleep. She wakes up to find herself raped and the mother of 2 children. So wow. That's That's very shy. Like
That
the first one I
sounds
read,
like,
I'm like,
is a Habla con ella. Talk to me is a Spanish film about a female bullfighter that was kind of gored, and she went into a coma and got raped while she was in the coma and got pregnant and gave birth while she. It sounds very similar, like a similar context. Yeah, Kill Bill, exactly.
Mhm. And then Snow White.
Mhm.
Let's see. So in the movie, Snow White wakes up from the magical kiss of the prince as she's put to sleep. But in the original version, she's actually woken up from the jostling of the prince's horse, who is taking her back to his castle. Now, in parentheses, it says here, because everyone thought that she was dead, it says, you can imagine what a prince would like to do with a dead girl's body. And then in the Grimm's version of Snow White, the tale ends with the queen being forced to dance to death on red hot iron shoes. So they kill the evil queen by making her dance on hot coals, basically. Did you see any? Did you have any that stuck out to you? Did you see any like?
Well, somebody said the nursery rhymes are definitely dark, and I remember "Ring Around the Rosie." Wasn't that about what illness was that about? Not was that about like Black Plague? A pocket full
So,
of
yeah.
posy, ashes, ashes. We all fall down, we die. I know Little Mermaid, the Hans Christian Andersen one, is she kills the man and then kills herself. It's the original. She's a murderous siren.
Yeah, yeah,
So
she does. Yeah, because it says here they get married. However, in the first version by Hans Christian Andersen, the mermaid sees the prince marrying a princess, and she despairs. She's offered a knife to kill the prince, but she
Undine,
instead
right?
jumps. Yeah, she jumps into the sea and dies by turning to froth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally happy ending.
Little Red Riding Hood. Let's see. There is no woodsman, no grandmother, just a lesson to not take advice from strangers. Oh, yep. So in the original version, the little girl is a well-bred young lady who is given false instructions by the wolf to her grandmother's house. She takes the advice and gets eaten by the wolf, and the story ends there. So that's why they say never trust a stranger or don't talk to strangers.
Stranger danger.
And then the Pied Piper. The tale of the Pied Piper, a village is swarming with rats. A man arrives dressed in clothes of pied and offers to rid the town of rats. When he returns, the villagers refuse to pay the money, so the Pied Piper decided to rid the town of the children too. In the modern versions, the Piper draws the children out to a cave out of town, and when the townsfolk finally agree to pay up, he sends them back. In the darker original version, the Piper leads the children to a river where they all drown, except a lame boy who couldn't keep up. Some modern scholars say that there are connotations of pedophilia in this fairy tale.
But to be fair, that wasn't called pedophilia back then. That was just life.
That was a normal Tuesday.
Right. So like the Elvis movie came out, and I don't even know if they like really acknowledged the fact that he married like a 15-year-old, or was she 14, 15 years old?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 14, 15, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Jerry Lewis.
She was 14.
Yeah, Jerry Lewis back in the day too.
Yeah. But yeah, they kind of glossed over that. Maybe they glossed over the whole racism and stealing the music thing. It's just made it all like feel good, warm, and fuzzy. So
Yeah,
woke Twitter loved it. the Branch Covidians thought it was great.
Branch Covidians.
That's what they're calling them now. The ones who are on board with all the fear and the COVID protocol, and they refuse to acknowledge anything. Yeah.
So, we're still seeing a lot of people wear masks by themselves outside.
I get the mask thing right now because it's like you're getting it again. There's COVID now, but outside or in your car by yourself, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Aladdin is another one. Yes, I have Chowny Man. I have heard of Aladdin being one. That's kind of dark as well.
Is it? Mm-hmm. I like these dark ones. I like dark. I'm perfectly fine with dark. I like dark music, dark stories, dark people, dark souls. I'm perfectly cool with that. Jasmine has a different Jasmine and Jafar. Okay, I'm just reading this chat. Huh.
Yeah, so Jasmine's different. Jafar was called a
I'll have to read
sorcerer,
that.
and Aladdin kills the sorcerer for tricking him into having the magic lamp, or giving him the magic lamp, I'm assuming. So it's not all Robin Williams happy genies in the story of Aladdin.
So Player says age of consent is still a point of contention in the world today. So I wonder if one day 18 will be a point of contention in the future. Like whatever we're doing that's normal now is, the bar is always going to move. So I wonder if things will be different. Like drinking and smoking were much lower ages not that long ago, and then they raised them because of the state or federal funding.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think some of that has, I don't know, because you know the thing about maps, right? Like the minor attracted persons. They're trying to get pedophilia changed into like this new not so terrible thing, right? And then these people are also trying to get that attached to the LGBT movement.
Why?
There might be a push here, April, soon that you might see, because we've seen it with the trans stuff, to lower the age of consent limit and make pedophilia seem okay, and make being attracted to a minor person okay, and tacked on to the LGBTQ stuff. Because you can tell, like we've seen like gay people, that was the thing, right? Like they wanted to get married, they wanted to be acknowledged. And then now it seems like all these other things have glommed on to that. And like this maps thing seems like it's going to try to glom onto that as well to try to get legitimacy. Now people aren't like Twitter was allowing this stuff to be posted. Like we go back to Twitter again. Then they recently changed their terms of service to get rid of some of that stuff, but it's still out there. So you may look at a push, April, here in the next like 10 to 15 years of people trying to lower the age of consent.
What, like lower to 16?
Yeah, or make the pedophilia thing more common, mainstream, to where it's not like such a stigma, taboo kind of thing. Like out in California, they've already changed. Like you can't call them pedophiles anymore, I think, because that's demeaning. It's demeaning to the person who's raping and touching kids.
Really?
Yeah.
What's funny is my friend lives out there, and he was talking about, if he wore a MAGA hat in California where they talk about inclusivity and demeaning and demoralizing, he said he would be chased out of the county, basically, in an area where they try and push all this stuff. They are very, very judgmental. So I don't know. I find that curious.
Yeah.
Now, I remember when I was 16, I was dating sometimes people who were 18. My dad wasn't thrilled with it, but it happened. Now, technically, these 18-year-olds could be called, I guess, pedophiles at that particular point. Now, they never went there. That was referred to as statutory rape at that age instead. But, where does it start? Where does it, you know what I mean?
You may even still have to register. If you were charged with statutory rape, you may still have to register.
Yeah. And, you're 16 years old and the kid's 18. He's like 2 grades higher than you or whatever, or just graduated. So that's a fine line right there. When I think of pedophile, I think of children.
Yeah.
When I think of, if you want to lower the age, 16? I don't know. Are you talking like 35-year-old guys with 16-year-old girls?
Well, that's kind of what this minor
16,
attracted
18,
person
19?
thing is. Yeah, it's more so where it's like adults. It's okay. It's not. Don't get rid of the taboo-ness of like an adult dating a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old or a 16-year-old, right? Like it's so stupid, April. Like it just makes my head hurt because it's like,
all of this
why are we trying to take the innocence from these kids, right? Like let these kids be kids.
I don't know. And I think it's strange that they're attaching it to the gay movement. I mean, I don't know many people who are gay that would appreciate it.
They're trying. I don't think it's working. They're trying to get like, how it's like LGBTQI plus A minus, all that type of stuff. They're trying to get another
7, 8, 9,
thing
12.
added to the end of it, right? So that they can be identified. And it's just so like, I don't want to Google search any of this stuff because I don't want this stuff in my history. But like, I've seen it on Twitter and I've seen people talk about it on Twitter. So like, it's in my Twitter search history because I go and look at these accounts and I go and report them because it's like you're literally on Twitter promoting pedophilia and Twitter's okay with this. Like, it's not.
This is sometimes the problem with free speech. In order to have it, we have to tolerate what other people say.
That is true.
And there's that. So we might not like what they say, but they have the right to say it, as long as they're not inciting violence or harm. But yeah, sometimes there's a fine line with that too. So yeah, I know it's a controversial topic. I'm not. Like I said, when I was 16, I was dating someone who was 18. It'd be like, what is that labeled? Like, I don't even like.
Well, it's different. So like, I'll give you the male perspective on this, right? And
Okay.
and a lot of people probably frown on this, and a lot of people probably be like, oh, that's not true. But everybody knew. Come on, guys in high school, there was that one teacher, and you hear about this now, right? Where like these kids and their teachers, like males,
Don't
and
stand so. Don't
yeah,
stand so.
and I know a guy personally who told me one of his first experiences was with an older woman in his neighborhood, and he was underage. I think Joe Rogan has talked about on his podcast, there was a lady in his neighborhood that would take the young men, the young guys in high school and stuff like that, and do things like that with them, right? So
I feel like I missed out on all of that. Like, I lost my virginity to somebody pretty much the same age as me. It was god awful. Like, if I if I had a chance to lose my virginity to somebody older who knew what they were doing, I would be like, I might have actually liked sex much sooner than it took me to actually learn to like sex. But there was a long gap in there where I was just like, I don't see what the big deal is. I don't know. It's just like whatever, and it's messy. Ugh. It's like, what the fuck are all these songs written about sex for, man? I just don't get it. But so I was sleeping with everybody my own age, and they didn't know what the fuck they were doing either.
Yeah, but it's the double standard though, because a lot of the times the guys are like hitting each other like, yeah, good job, like, yeah, I wish that was me, or like little things like that, and it's so different for like you, I don't know, it's just so weird how like a younger guy is looking to like, yeah, that older teacher, and then but we don't want it like because again, I'm confused about all this because when I grew up during the era of the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC.
Like,
right,
it's terrible, but okay. So typically, I know what you're saying now. Okay, as a female now who's older, but I don't feel or look my age. I do typically date people that are like a decade younger than I am. Like, I was married to my ex-husband was like 12 years younger than me, or than I am. So I don't know, like. I mean, thank God I didn't meet him in school. I mean, that would have been like, So I used to tease him all the time. Like, when I was graduating, you were like, 7. So, you were 4, things like that. But yeah, no, I feel like there's it's like, I don't know if this is a thing or not. I feel like there's such a movement to take childhood away from children right now. And you really kind of have to protect and watch out for that. And I'm starting to, and I'm not a parent, but I'm becoming a big fan of like charter schools, home schools, private schools. I see the point, especially when you learn about lower IQ points and all the stuff going on. I'm like, yeah, I see all the government funded money pushing all these things. Like, I can see why. Yeah, and that they're lining them up to give them jabs without the parents' permission and things like that. So it's like, I saw something like the kids go through like 90 something vaccinations for schools. Whereas I think, what did we go through? Like, I don't know, 15 or 20?
I remember getting my shots when I was in school for school and all that type of stuff. But I remember specifically in the 6th grade, they did the measles, mumps, and rubella shot. And that was a thing for us. I think we had to get 2 or 3 shots that school year. Like they did it during school. Like our parents were aware.
Yeah, you had to get permission slip, right?
Yeah, they came in. They did the
They're not doing that now.
They did the airsoft syringe thing too, where it's just they put it up there and pull the trigger, and you're done.
Yeah.
But they, like you said, they're not doing that now. And I saw somebody here, Playa, said private schools aren't safe. I've known a lot of people that have gone to private schools, and it's a different hierarchy. Like, because you can go on scholarship, and then you can have the people that pay for it. A lot of times you'll have the richer kids making fun of the poor kids. That's kind of the dynamic that you get in private schools.
Yeah. Same with religious schools too.
Yeah. They know if you're there on scholarship, and if you're there on scholarship, you're not, that your parents don't have the money to pay for it. So they usually are going to treat you a lot differently.
Yep. And I know, I mean, I only know a few kids who are homeschooled, but they come from a large family, and all those kids are extraordinarily well-adjusted kids. And their parents take them to social things like gymnastics and different things.
And you have to, because this is a problem. I grew up with some kids that were homeschooled, and they were definitely socially awkward. And one of them, once he got kind of out of the church and out on his own, he definitely started drinking and being the wild man. I mean, he's successful in his career
like
and his life and stuff like that, right? Oh yeah,
the Amish go and do their thing.
But that was his thing, and he was definitely socially awkward too, right? Like in one-on-one situations when you were with him, he was good, but like when you got him in big social scenes or he was around new people, he didn't quite like it. There was that awkwardness. And there are a lot of places around here, they try to do things to get people in homeschool into that get them out of that socially awkward stage. I know for him, he tried to play golf, but because of the homeschool stuff, you have to get on a golf team with a high school. So he would have to like go to high school practice for golf just to play golf, because they don't have that type of stuff, right? So you can't unless you're doing after school activities like playing like AAU basketball and other things like that, you're not really going to have much success if you're playing sports, doing homeschool and things like that.
I'm so glad that I didn't have children. Now I'm saying that now when I'm older and I want someone to take care of me. Of course, there's no guarantee that would happen, but I'm going to probably regret it then. But right now with the craziness and all of that, I'm glad that I don't have to deal with it. There's like a stress level that just isn't there that I'm sure parents deal with it. And I have mad respect for you guys. I can only imagine, and you know what I mean? That's
I mean, just think, like, luckily we didn't have to put up with it, but we've got family that had to deal with the formula shortage. Like that's scary. Like
I was tweeting out like all the recipes for formula and stuff. You probably saw like the whole time. I'm like, this is how you make formula. This is another one, how you make formula. It's crazy.
And that I couldn't imagine that. Like, and right now we're trying to get him out of diapers. I mean, if we can get him potty training out of diapers, that's another couple $100 a month that we're going to be saving on diapers that we're not spending.
It's when you're gritting your teeth like, fucking, I'll give you a lollipop. Just use the fucking toilet.
Yeah. Pretty much.
My parents would use balloons and lollipops.
He's pretty good. We don't give him anything. She tries to get him in a routine. So when he wakes up from sleeping, he goes straight to the toilet. And like even when he woke up from his nap just now, I got him out of his crib and set him on the floor, and he walked straight to the bathroom. So he's starting to get trained so that he knows to go pee, and he's starting to ask. But we watch him because when he starts grabbing himself, that's when we start asking him like, "Hey, do you need to go?" And he's like, "No," and then we'll take him and he'll pee. So we kind of see the signs of him starting to mess with himself down there, and I think it's just that constant training. He'll get there.
And you guys are high-fiving over top of him peeing. You're like, "Oh, but you saved a diaper, yeah."
Yeah, and we're high-fiving. And we're like a little bit ago, all of us were in the bathroom watching. Go, Alex, go! Go, Alex, go!
That's hilarious. So anyway, yeah, that's what's going on. We was it if you had kids, they would be in their 20s doing nothing, living with you.
No, they would be doing something. April would have them around that house, homesteading, doing something.
I don't know if that's the case. I mean, I don't know what kind of parent I would be. You could be right. You don't know until it's your situations, but okay, that's my closest friend right there. She knows me pretty well, so yeah, I'm pretty. I have a feeling like I would be the strict parent, so like strict but fair, but I would probably be like, get the fuck out. So yeah.
Yeah. I have to deal now because of this, because of my co-host over at the Ridiculously Random podcast. My son now will randomly just do finger in the hole in front of his mom at inappropriate times now.
That's hilarious. Now, Allie says, if I got pregnant today, would you mind raising a kid? Honestly, as much as I am for choice for other people and I fight for that, me myself, I'm more pro-life. So if I got pregnant today, if that were a thing, yeah, I would have it and raise it and do the best I can. I mean, you guys see how many animals I take in that get dumped on my lap and I make the best of it. So yeah, I believe life's a gift. Life is sacred, but I would not push that on other people because I don't have to live their lives or walk in their shoes. Mm-hmm. So, but if it happened to me, yeah, sure.
It's like that. Did you read that article? I don't know what news article they were talking about on a bunch of the different shows that I listened to, but it was like a hit piece on the why abortion is necessary, right? And it was talking about this lady that was forced to have twins because the heartbeat bill. I think she was in Texas or one of those states, and
yeah,
she went to go get checked, and the doctor was like, "Hey, there's a heartbeat, like we can't do it." And so she decided to keep the twins, mm-hmm. and she gave birth. And she was talking about how her boyfriend would go to the skate park all day, and you know, she was doing this, and she was so afraid, and all these things. Well, now, like, her and her boyfriend are married now. Mm-hmm. Like he's given up going to the skate park every day and gotten a good job. Like they were trying to write this piece like a hit piece, but they're showing how like this lady had kids and it changed her life for the best. And
yeah,
and so it's like it did the opposite of what you were trying to put out there, but it also shows where they can change your thinking and your aspect now, because you're like, all right, now I have this living thing that I have to take care of, and I have to get serious. And I've seen it turn a lot of people's life, like make them get serious about life. And then you still have your same ones again that still fuck around and do whatever. But you see the ones when they do get kids, they get serious about things and they do straighten up, and the kids do change them for the best sometimes.
You would hope, you know. I saw a it was I guess like an Indian guru, and he said, "You do not have children; they are not yours." Children, I think he said it was like children live through you. They are basically he was saying because it was reincarnation. He's like, children are gifts. You are privileged to have them, but they come through you. They're not yours. You don't own them, you know. So and he said that's why they're so different from you.
Yeah.
That's why they're so different from each other. They are their own entities. So I thought that was interesting.
That's one thing that that being a parent, you kind of have to grasp, because like my kids too. So as much as I want to try to like,
yes, children are on loan to us from God. They're yeah. That's basically what he was saying.
So like they, you know, he's 2, right? So he's still gonna do 2-year-old things. So I can't really get mad at him when I'm expecting him to like, hey, Alex, do this thing that an adult would do, and then he completely does what a 2-year-old would do. Like, because there's moments where he has like, all right, I can do the adult thing, but then he slips back to that 2-year-old mind. And I think a lot of people get frustrated because they're like, oh, I want my kid to hurry up and be grown up. And it's like, no, you need to let your kid be a kid. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to do silly things. They're going to drop their milk on the floor, you know, or fall down while walking because they're 2. Like they're literally 2. They're not. They haven't been on this earth as long as you and I have, April, to fully understand and grasp everything.
I don't know about you, but I still drop my milk and fall down walking too. So it's not a sure thing that as an adult that's not going to happen. And sometimes I'm not even drinking. I'm just like, bloop, oops, shit.
And it's crazy because he has violent 2-year-old outbursts, and I'm like, man, people still have these same outbursts.
Yep. 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 I will throw something across the kitchen every so often. And yeah, unapologetically.
Sorry, Simba.
And then I'm like, oh, I feel so much better now. Yep. I think all my friends are psychos. Like, we're all crazy like that. We all have our violent outbursts, freak out moments. And then we're like, okay, we're good. Let's go into the Comic-Con now. Yeah, fucking parking. So, yeah.
If you have Jamie with you, he's like, all right, let's go in the Comic-Con after we hate this shot of rum.
Right? Yep. That's what rum's for. So anyway, yeah. So thanks for everybody who was on here tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you for being a part of our Patreon. And I'm sure Colin has added something to Patreon.
The Ray Valentine episode up recently, and I'm getting the Alex one put up today.
Sweet. I love the BRV stuff. It's so much fun. Oh, so it said a quick story. I'd watch April Hunter wrestle thinking that I could get a shot with April for dating. Plus, April saw as the best pec flexing wrestler. We do that at the end of the show. We do Twitch on Twitch. So at the end of each show, we have to do a little Twitch. So
Chinaman's got a Twitch with us.
Yeah. So feel free to join in. We do our yeah. That's the signal that is towards the end of the show. So you can find me on Patreon, April Hunter. You can find us on Patreon, The A Show. And thank you for joining. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being here. Next week, we have a super cool guest. It's Brian Donahauer. He is a QHHT, which is a quantum healing therapist. You know how we like to have the esoteric and the weird on here? That is what we're doing. Brian, I've seen him speak a few times. He talks about energy and past lives and how to heal your stuff. So it is going to be fascinating. So don't miss next week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. You got anything to say?
Yeah, we Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, over at twitch.tv/ridiculously random podcast. Actually, no, not this week. My friend Ray, he had some high blood pressure issues.
Yoga.
He thought it might have been like a mild heart attack.
Oh.
Like he's not sure. He's waiting on tests. So he's taking this week off to chill and relax. And his son's birthday was also this week. So happy birthday to Aiden. But next week we'll be back. Top 5 boxing knockouts. That'll be fun.
Rocky Balboa.
There you go. Yeah. That could be one of them. It's boxing.
Right?
It doesn't have to be real.
Thunder Lips. So all right. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. Thank you for joining me on Twitter. Thank you for all the cool things. Anybody I did not get to say hello to, hi, and talk to you guys soon.